Hey guys, and welcome to another episode tutorial with me, Joseph Evans, author of The Secret Sequence, The Phoenix Prophecy, The Ember Effect, Soulbound, and The Secret of Rain on Episode. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do spot directing in Episode, which is something that loads of you have been requesting of me for a long time, so I finally got to it. Spot directing can be quite difficult, so this isn't going to be for everyone. If you are going to use spot directing in your story, I would recommend using it very sparingly, because if done incorrectly, it can look quite jarring. I usually find that the default positions that Episode provide us with usually are sufficient for any situation. But there might be the odd occasion where you do need to have someone in a very specific location in a scene, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is pick a scene. So I'm going to use this house party one here. And let's say I want to have Loka and Tenk sitting on this couch right here. So for that, we cannot use the default positions like screen center, screen left, back far left, any of those. We will have to use spot directing. So let's go back to our script here and just writing the scene's name. So it's int house party night. And the first thing we need to do is to add our characters into some default positions just so they're in the scene, and then we're going to load up the app afterwards and move them around manually. So first of all, let's put Loka and Tenk into some default positions. So at Loka stands screen left, and let's have her facing right. So, and Loka faces right, and then Tenk stands screen right, and Tenk faces left. Now, because I want them sitting on this sofa and not standing next to it, I'm going to need to use the sit animation, which we have for both male and female characters. And to do this, I just need to write and the character's name, then the word is, and the animation's name, which is just simply sit. So, and Tenk is sit. So now they are going to be sitting in midair, and we're going to move them around, change the scale of them so it looks like they're actually sat on the sofa. Now, if I just left it at this and loaded up the app to move them around, we would simply go straight to the to be continued screen, because nothing is actually happening in this scene at the moment. So to pause the action, what I usually do is simply put a narration bubble, so just the word narrator like that, and then the word pause. Now, this isn't a directing command. This is simply just me creating some kind of speech bubble just so the action can be paused in some way. Now, of course, you could use the command @pause for a beat, but you would need so many of those. You would need hundreds to kind of pause the action for the amount of time that you need it to be paused for. So a simpler way is just to have any kind of speech bubble in this area here, just to pause that action while you can move things around. So let's go ahead and save. So now I'm going to load up Episode and show you how we move these characters around. Okay, so as you can see here, they look like they're floating in midair at the moment. So let's click on Directing Helper. And then we have 4 options here: Zoom Helper, Spot Helper, Bubble Helper, and Overlay Helper. Now the one we're interested in is Spot Helper, so let's click on that one. And a few other buttons appear on the left-hand side of the screen here. So in this highlighted area where we have some text and some numbers, we can see that we have the word move in brackets and then Tenk. So this means that at the moment we're controlling Tenk's character. And if I just press my finger to the screen and drag it around, we can see that Tenk follows our touch. But right now it looks like he's too close to the screen to be sat on that sofa in the background. So what we need to do is click on the button which says Switch Tool Scale, and that will switch so we can scale his character instead of moving him around. So let's just click that, and now we'll see that it changes his size and not his position. So let's go ahead and press here, and as you can see, it is super sensitive, so be really careful with this, guys. So now that we have him much smaller, we can click Switch Tool back to move, and we can go ahead and just position him properly again. Now I think he's probably still a little too large to look like he's actually sat on that sofa, so let's switch it back again, make him a little bit smaller, and let's just move him back into position. There we go, that looks better. So let's just do the same with Loka. Now to change the character that we want to move around and position, just click this button that says Change Ca. And as you can see, the highlighted text here with the numbers in it has now switched to Loka. Okay, I think that's where I want them both to be. So now what we need to do is we need to take note of these numbers that appear in this highlighted box. So for Loka, we have the numbers 0.741, 128 and 212. Now you can ignore the @ symbol and the brackets here. You're not going to need those at all. So make sure you make a note of each set of numbers for each character. At this point, I would write those numbers down on a piece of paper or on your screen or something. And then if we change character back to Tank, we need to write his numbers down as well. So his numbers are 0.770, 273, 264. And now we have everything we need to go back into our script and set this scene up correctly. Okay, so what we need to do now is replace these stands screen left and stands screen right commands with our spot positions from the app. So what we need to do is write the word spot like that, and then our numbers. So Loka's were 0.741, 128, 212. And let's just do the same for Tank here. So the word spot, 0.770, 273, 264. And we're probably going to want to change the words is here to the word starts. And the reason why is that if we leave it like this, Loka will sit down first and then Tank will sit down after her, but we want them actually to be both sitting at the same time. So let's change that to starts and starts as well. And we can go ahead and delete this pause because that was only for the purpose of us positioning our characters. So instead, let's have Loka say something like, cool party, dude. And there's only one sitting and talking animation, and that is talk, sit, just like that. And as far as I know, this is only available for female characters at the moment, which I'm not entirely sure why. Hopefully we'll get a male version of this soon, so that we can have actual conversations on settees and couches. So let's just save this, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like in its polished state. Great stuff, that looks awesome. Now let's just have a look at some other uses of spot directing. Let's say for instance that we have this supermarket scene here, and we want to have a character in the background looking at these magazines. First of all, let's add in the scene's name. So this one is int supermarket checkout line day. And I'm going to put Secri into this one. So let's just place him anywhere we like to begin with. So at Secri stands, I'll have him screen center maybe. And Secri. Now, because we want him facing the magazines and not facing the camera, we're going to want to use one of the idle rear animations. So let's put start idle rear like that. Now we want Secri to be facing right because that would be the natural way he would be facing to look at those magazines. But for some reason in episode, when you have a character facing away from the camera, right and left is reversed. So to have Secri facing the magazines, we're actually going to have to write Secri faces left to have him facing right. Very strange and very, very awkward, but you'll get used to it. So and Secri faces left, because you want him facing right. So once again, let's just put in one of these pauses so we can pause the action and move him around. Save the script first and then load up the app. Okay, so this is what we're presented with when we load up our chapter. So let's just go ahead and click Directing Helper once again, then Spot Helper, and we are currently set to moving Secri around. So let's just move him up here somewhere. Switch the tool to Scale, scale him down a bit. Move him again. And I think that looks about right. So let's jot down those three individual numbers there. We have 0.915, 139, and then 202. And we can go straight back to our script. Okay, let's remove this stand screen center command and replace that with our spot numbers. So spot, and it was 0.915139202. And instead of this pause, I'm going to have Secri say something like, looks like the new Friction Monthly is out. Awesome. Let's save that one. And this is exactly what that looks like. Now, the only other thing I want to show you today is how to use spot directing in zones other than the default camera zone. So let's use this background as an example. Let's say I want to have Secri and Aya standing on the grass in this area here somewhere. Now, this area here looks like it will probably be in zone 3. So if we scroll over, Zone 1 will be around about this area here, Zone 2 will probably cover this area, and Zone 3 will be this one here. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be Zone 3 we're going to need to use. So let's go back to our script, add in the background's name. So it's Ext Park Amphitheatre Night. And the first thing we're going to do is cut to Zone 3. So cut to Zone 3. And then, like in our previous examples, we can simply place Secri and Aya in any of the default positions just to get going. So at Secri stands screen left and Secri faces right. And Aya stands screen right and Aya faces left. And let's pause the action. Make sure we save once again before we load up episode. If we don't save, we won't see any of our new content. And now it's time to load up the app. Alright, great stuff. Let's go ahead and get moving these characters. Click on Directing Helper, then Spot Helper. And let's move Secri first. Scale him down. And we're going to have them quite small because that is quite far in the background. So maybe even something like that. Or even smaller. Let's have a look. This thing is always a process of trial and error, so as you can see he's still way too big for that to look like he's actually in the background there, so let's scale him down even more. Something like that. Let's move him up a little bit, that looks about right. Let's change to Aya. Scale her down as well. And she's too small now. Okay, that looks about right. So once again, let's jot down those really important numbers. So we have Aya's, which is 0.434121 and 412. And then to bring up Sekri's numbers, just click Change Character. And his are 0.422, 50, and 416. And that's all we need for now. Let's go back to our script. So first of all, let's do exactly what we've done in the past and remove this stand screen left and add in our numbers. So spot, and then Sekri's was 0.42250416. And this is the part that's different because of the zone. So what you need to do here to have these standing in the third zone is you need to write in zone 3. Now, if you don't write the words in zone 3 here, what will happen is Secri will be in that spot position, but in the first zone, and he'll be off camera. So you've got to make sure that you put in that in zone 3 there if you are in a different zone than the default one. So let's just do the same with Aya here. Hers was 0.434121,412. And of course, in zone 3 as well. So all that's left to do is to delete this pause and let's add in something else. Maybe in this particular scene, I want Secri to be playing a guitar and Aya to be bobbing along with him. So we can actually put in some animations here. So I'll write and Secri starts play guitar loop, and Aya starts head bob. And let's add in some pause for beats just so we can actually see that happen for a few moments. I can just copy and paste a few of these here. Let's have 4 of them. And then at some point A is going to say, "You're really good at this, Sec." Let's put an exclamation mark. And I'll have her doing the talk happy smile animation, I think. So let's go ahead and save that. Here is exactly what that looks like. Okay guys, that is all you need to know for now. If you do have any questions about any of this at all, please do comment them down below. We've created an awesome episode community here in the YouTube comments of writers helping other writers. Now, the one thing I didn't really cover in this tutorial was how to make it look like there's children in your script. This is something that can be achieved with spot directing, but I'm not going to go into it here and now. I will do that maybe in the next video, or at least in a future video soon at some point. So good luck with your spot directing, guys, and I will see you all in the next video.